My most memorable moment at COP29 is when we were doing the demonstration. Civil society, gender activists, different climate activists across the world doing those demonstrations. I was mainly part of ACT Alliance, where we were talking that climate justice, we need to act now for climate justice. It was very memorable for me to see how the voice of the vulnerable people were being silenced. We had to do demonstration within a small space of within a confined space, and apparently this was not the first year. It was for the second year where demonstrations were being limited. So honestly, for me, this was one of the memorable moments, because it's where I have seen that, okay, it's not only something at national level where voices are being suppressed, but even at that international space, voices are suppressed. Nonetheless, people or from different sectors were able to make their voices be known using signs, using voices, using words, using placards. But the most thing that was being said was that climate finance must be paid. The global north should pay trillions, not just billions. And the request was that this should be in trillions, not billions. Also, to say make it be grants, not loans. But surprisingly, it's that at the end of the day, if you look all around, most of the outcomes of COP29, you can see that we are moving towards the loan aspect, in as much as we celebrate those success of that pledged 300 billion for climate finance. But still, there is that aspect of saying what the people were crying for has not been heard. What vulnerable communities are crying for has not been heard. So it remains a question, how can the global north, which are regarded as the most polluters, can now expect the global south to take loans to repair or to deal with the climate damages? It's just like it's just like putting a man's house on fire and then expect the person to rebuild that house using a loan. It is somehow unfair, but nonetheless, it was one of the moments which I really enjoyed being there, beside the different faith pavilions I've attended. I was able also to attend different faith pavilions, one of which was the faith pavilions. It was good hearing from the president of the G20 countries, especially when he was talking a lot about reverence, that reverence is the most forgotten virtue. And he said, if nations, if the world will combat climate change, we need to bring back reverence for God's creation, reverence for the climate, reverence for the vulnerable people, reverence for children, reverence for indigenous people, and many more. So that was one of the most memorable and outstanding moments in the different faith pavilions that I attended during my COP or during my stay in COP. So I really wish that this message can be amplified to say, let's bring back reverence. Apparently, all faith communities have this reverence aspect as a core. So we expect that this is be brought into everyone's attention across the world.
My name is Kenny Emmanuel Dube, and I am from South Sudan. The most significant achievement at COP29 is that the parties were able to reach a breakthrough of tripling the previously agreed $100 billion annually to $300 billion, which is a great achievement, though this has taken them almost 2 weeks of negotiation, of disagreement, of a lot of setbacks, and we're just very glad that they were able to reach to a quantified amount, which is $300 billion annual, which is great, though it is very less than what has been tabled by developing countries, which is the amount totaling to $1.3 trillion, but we can say that it is the most significant achievement of COP29. And also, the other achievement will be that the parties also agree that they will secure efforts to work with different actors, including private and public sectors, so that they can be able to work hard to raise to work hard so that they will be able to reach to the target, which is the 1.3 trillion dollar target. This new finance pact, which is formally known as the new collective quantified goal on climate finance, it is something so great. And I just pick the words of the executive secretary for UNFCCC. We say that these funds, the new finance goal, is an insurance policy for humanity. Indeed, it is an insurance policy for humanity, especially those of us who live in the global south and in areas that have been affected so much by the impacts of climate change. One other important aspect that I have seen at the negotiation is that developing countries, for example, G77 plus China and the least developed countries, as well as the island states, they're able to advocate and to negotiate as a bloc. And this tells us that countries are united. They are united in calling for a collective effort in addressing climate change. And this tells us that all these countries were affected and they are negotiating as a bloc, which is kind of amazing. It's just so great to see how international cooperation work in such situations.
Here, the president of COP, I think the one from Azerbaijan, saying fossil fuel, it's a gift from God. So meaning that we need to use fossil fuel to generate energy. First of all, it was actually so controversial to see Azerbaijan, a fossil fuel country, hosting COP. But then when the president of COP said that statement, a well-spoken leader saying that statement, especially using the name of God, I was disheartened in my spirit to say, how can we say that when the world is moving towards the commitment of the Paris Agreements, where we want to reduce on emission, where we want to keep temperature increase at 1.5, but someone says we have this. Then my question was like, didn't God give us the sun, which is free? Didn't God give us the wind, which is free and clean? Why don't we claim that God has given us the sun so that we can start investing on cleaner and renewable energy as opposed to the use of fossil fuel? So on that thing, I could feel that as faith communities, we have a long way to go and we have a big role to play as far as behavioral change is concerned, as far as being the voice of God, where the voice of God is being abused, to say, in as much as you consider fossil fuel a gift from God, but God who loves the planet this way wouldn't expect us to misuse the planet. I'm being reminded of Jesus when he entered the temple and defined people that they were selling. The Bible says he made the whip and he said that my Father's house should be a house of prayer, but we have turned it into a den of thieves. I feel like some world leaders have turned God's planets from being a house of prayer, from being green, and made it to be a den of thieves, that they can even use the word of God, they can even use the name of God to drive their own ambitions, to drive their own gains from money that comes from the use of fossil fuel. So yeah, as a faith actor, as a people of faith, as a member of Climate Years, as a member of the Anglican Church, I really feel I still have a lot to do to amplify my voice, because some of these world leaders, they go to churches. So if we'll start talking about climate issues, if we'll start talking about renewable energy in our churches, in the mosque, in Baha'i community, in different sectors, slowly but surely, I believe there will be a behavioral change. I still believe that before COP, we still need to do proper training, even on reverence issues, to the negotiators, because being an observer, I might have the right thing, but I might have the right information, but then I need to have someone who is a party member who will amplify the needs of the people. Still believe that as people of faith, we need to say a lot about agroecology. Start talking to governments, because we could see that government are still promoting GMOs, are still promoting conventional farming, and also we still have a lot to do in changing people's behavior from conventional farming to organic farming and agroecology, because agroecology is the best for the poor of the poorest. And also worth noting that the major part of the population, I strongly believe, is being fed by small-scale farmers that feed families, that feed local people, as opposed to these big farms that goes with GMOs, that goes with high fertilizers that pollutes. So personally, I'm one person who plead, that one person who says to every faith leader out there, to every funders out there, it is high time we fund agroecology. It is high time we promote agroecology, because agroecology is the future of food production.
My message to world leaders is, it is not time to just negotiate. It is not on time to start talking and discussing what you've done and what you plan on doing. It is time to make ambitious decisions. It's time to make ambitious goals to fighting this climate crisis, because right now we are facing a crisis that is more deadly and more dangerous and affecting a lot of people. We don't need to continue with business as usual. We need leaders to take action. We need policies. We need concrete action. So whatever decision that world leaders you are making out there, please consider the people that you leave back home. Consider those people who are most affected. You might be comfortable, you might be okay, you might have the powers to mitigate or to fight this climate change on your own on a personal level, but there are people out there who are dying because of climate change. There are people out there who have their homes blown off because of climate change. We have people out there who go hungry every day, children, youth, women who are affected by climate change, and you are here because of that, to listen to that voice and to take action to benefit those people, because it's not only about you, it's not only about the decisions you make, it's about the future of our earth, the future of Mother Earth. And so creating this environment where your policies, the policies that you make, are affecting people on grassroots is what you should focus on. So when you are making that decision, think about that little child who has to go to bed without food, that child who has no clean water, that child who has to go distances just to look for a decent life, just to look for something to do that gives them livelihood. Those are the people you should put to heart and let them get to your conscience and help you stand up for what is right and do what is right, so that those climate funds that are coming are going to reach these people, and they're not only going to be left in being spent by the people who already have, but it will reach those people who do not have and people who are in desperate need, because the world is on fire and we need to quench this fire with so much action, urgent action that is needed right now and immediately. It's not time to negotiate, it's time to act.